Okay, so for those of you who are watching this on video, here is what I want you to do. You will be filling out this worksheet, um, and you will do that through using this tutorial. Well, I'm going to use the tutorial sheet, and you will be using this sheet. Um, I will show you guys how to start, what you're doing, and then you will do the rest of the sheet. So the first thing you're going to do is that you'll notice that this has data on 409 people, 409 NBA players. This is combining both current and former and all that. And I've basically just randomly selected 400 samples. Um, and so here, uh, yeah, see here, we're just gonna go ahead and do 400. I did not change that. This will be changed before I upload it. This one is 70. Yep. 409, I think I said, right? So 409 players. Uh, let me just make sure. Yes. So the first part will be, so your first part will end up being the same as mine because this is more or less the same. It might be a little bit different, and that's okay. Uh, so I'm going to construct a confidence interval for the height and weight. So, this is going to be moved over, actually, over here. And so here's how we are going to do it. So this is for height, and this is for weight. Let me just go ahead and just copy paste this. So we already figured out how to do the height, right? That is equal to average, or at least for the mean of all of B, and then the average for all of C. And so average height is 1.99 and average weight is 99.11 kilograms. Z-score, this one you'll have to type. So 90% confidence, that's 90 in the middle, 5 on each side. So 1.96 is going to be your Z-score for both height and weight, right? Next up is standard deviation. Standard deviation will simply be equals stdev. Again, for height, it'll be all of column B. For weight, it'll be all of column C. So stdev cc. Again, if there's too many decimals, you can reduce it. Oh, I just increased it. I'd say about that many should be okay. Sample size is 409. We established that. 409, 409. You could also use the count function. So count BB, and you'll still get 409. And finally is the error. So this one, you'll just have to type the formula. Our formula is ZC times the square root of the standard deviation divided by the sample size. So using that, we can do equals z-score times the square root of the standard deviation divided by the sample size. And you can autofill this. But just to make sure, you can click on it and just make sure, okay, this is the z-score times square root of standard deviation times sample size. And so now I have my error, right? So for my height, I will be wrong by about 3-ish centimeters, it looks like. Almost 3 centimeters. And for my height, I will be wrong by about 0.32 kilograms on average, right? That's going to be my error if I want to be 90% certain. So my lower limit is my mean minus my error. And my upper limit is my mean plus my error. Same thing down here, right? I can just click and drag and it'll do that for me. And so what I would write here, I gave you a lot of space. You don't need this much space. So the average height of the NBA basketball players is between 197 centimeters and 202 centimeters. And that's pretty much all I need you to write for this part. You don't need to write more than that. Same thing for down here, right? It'll be between 98.79 and 99.44. These are not current anymore. Yeah. So, that's all you need to write for this part. And this is mainly just a tutorial of how to do this. For this one, you should get very similar answers, if not the exact same. Our samples are pretty similar to each other. And so if it's a little off, it's probably fine. Now, the part that you will have to do by yourselves would be this bottom part, where we are now looking at the differences between each role. So specifically the heights. So I want to see with 95% confidence interval if the heights are different between people who play center, people who play forward, and people who play guard. And some people play 2 roles, right? If they play 2 roles, we're going to count them for both. So how are we going to do that? So in your sheet, you will already have three separate you already have 3 separate sheets for you. I'm only going to do the center just so that you guys have something to do yourselves. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and click on this and click nope, sorry, not that. You're going to click on column D with the position. You're going to click on data and create a filter. Once you created a filter, you can go ahead and make sure, clear all, and select only the people that play center, right? Or at least part center. So center, center forward, and forward center. And you will get your data here, right? So these are all the people who play center in some role. I'm going to choose all of them. Press Ctrl C, go to my new sheet, go up here and press Ctrl V. And so now everyone in this sheet only contains the people who play center, right? I'm going to do the same thing that we did. Let me delete this. I'm going to do the same thing we did back here. Let me undo this. Yeah. I'm going to do the same thing we did back here and find out what the, at 95% confidence, what my lower and upper limit are, and then record it here, right? So for center, people who play center are between something and something centimeters tall. I'm going to do the same thing for people who play forward, and then the same thing for people who play guard, 95%, not 90. And then at the very end here, you'll just compare and if there's any similarities and differences between the 3 roles, right? Is there one role that is vastly taller than the others? Or are there roles that are very similar? All of those you will compare and contrast and do that. So things to keep in mind. The sample size will be different, right? Between the 3. So for center, it looks like there's 87 people. So my sample size here is 87. And then you'll just do the same thing, right? So that will be your task. And then all of you should get kind of similar answers. There may be some differences between each of you, so just be aware of that, depending on how many samples and things. So yeah, that's what I want you guys to do. If you guys are confused about what to do, you guys can go back and look at what I did at the beginning for this part. You don't need to do the weights for each of the roles, you only need to do the height. So that's what I want you guys to do. And if you have any questions, just email me, let me know, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible.